So Sway was always meant it to be more of like a musical jam, so the lyrics sort of come second in that sense, because I'm not very good with lyrics, so I like the musical side, but we work well as a team in that sense. So leave the lyrics up to you, and you feel the vibe. So I remember you came into my room and I was just playing around with like this little chord progression. Yeah. And that was basically like the beginning of the groove of Sway. That was pretty cool. And it's kind of developed from there, really.
I wrote all the lyrics for Sway relatively quickly after just having to sit and listen to like the sample on repeat for about 2 weeks.
The lyrics just flowed off your tongue.
Yeah, and then I was just trying to squeeze in every single like sort of disco dancey reference of stuff that we enjoy, like gigging in like September and Dancing Queen and just sort of those kind of vibes.
And in the town again, got a fresh perspective, fresh and a handful of friends. Hey, gotta get up, 'cause I've been down, 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 down. No text, just be direct and listen to the sound.
I tried to take influence from a lot of the soul and funky tracks, and mainly disco tracks, and a bit like the bass line in M6, because M6 from a previous album, I sort of played the bass line from that one first, sort of like that. And I sort of tried to take a bit from that and get a similar vibe, so I sort of put in the bass line in Sway. Like a quite similar sort of vibe to it, just on steroids. Because first of all, starting from the ground up, we had the bass. But the bass line with this one, I'd pretty much set it. So I like Joe can do his thing around it, and it sounds sick. So I trusted Joe to take that line, keep it relatively how I wrote it, but put his own little twist on bits, which he does, and it sounds sick. The drums were really important, because it's just getting that. It just sounds so much better when you've got that snare and hi-hat thing going on. It just sounds so good. You can dance to it finally. And then the guitar was very much like just that sort of funky pentatonic, just chugging away, very, very quite sparse in a way, and just really wanted that vibe. So it was quite clear, I think, where the music was going with that one. The middle section was interesting when we delved into that as a band, because it was getting a bit samey after a while. We had sort of the same sort of 4-loop chords, a bit of variation in there, a lot of like rhythmical variation, but then we needed a bit of a break. I think we were feeling it after playing around with it. We're like, oh, okay, it's like 3.5-ish minutes long, we need a bit of a break somewhere, a completely different section. And I think we just jammed out that sort of slow bit, which I basically took from lots of Michael Jackson and Bruno Mars and Stevie Wonder songs, and this nice chord progression where it just went really nice little progression, and then just added a nice beat behind it, and then just again, then the rhythm drove that bit into our climax section.
Yeah, you'd like set the instrumental side of it, and then we literally I remember improvising a melody over that section, and the first time I sang it, I actually sang nearly note for note the melody that went on the final version, but there was no words.
So take it to the studio. That I think we had a really strong idea of what was happening with it. After we had that nice slow section, usually we built up into a crazy like full-on 4-chorus outro, which I think I have in the other song as well. Just love a 4-chorus outro. But I remember really last minute we decided to drop it. We were rehearsing, weren't we? And we're like, I think we listened to some other songs and they had a really big build-up, and then they just dropped into nothing. And it sounded really cool, like you didn't expect it. And I think we were like, yeah, let's do that. We'll just do that. And so that was really interesting, because we didn't know what Matt, the producer, was gonna say to that. But I think that he really liked it. Yeah, it was a nice change. And I think when we play it live, we're also going to mess around with it a bit further. We're just going to have a long jam section with that. Just take the mick of it, have some fun with it. So originally it was like quite a synth bass, like you said, when I was first jamming. It had some cool little synth lines over the top of it. They sound pretty cool on the synth, but then the guitar took them anyway, some little riffs in between things. So there wasn't much. I wasn't sure whether to go sort of towards the more orchestral brass or synth sound. And I think we had a bit of a like experimentation with it all. And I think we had both in the end. We settled on both. Yes! I love it! And that gives a really nice aesthetic to it, quite Bruno Mars, modern sort of vibe. It's really cool. But I always wanted brass and disco strings. So, but we got the brass players in a way. I didn't intend on having real brass because the synth brass was doing the job. But Matt advised on the more sustained, slow, sort of romantic section, it would need some real brass. You could tell if it was fake. And yeah, that was a good decision because that works really nicely. Really nicely. Yeah. But I think it's just a jam. I think it's people just sort of can stand up, they can move around, they can sing along. You know, there's definitely the story behind it, but the main thing is that it's groovy and it just makes people smile. And that we also, as musicians, can have a lot of fun messing around with it. So we'll hopefully never play it exactly the same twice. You can feel free to mess around with little bits when we all smile at each other and go, that was cool. That was cool.
So how do you think that the world is going to respond to Sway?
I think they're going to dance again, Alan. The world's going to dance again.